I Love Mortgage Brokering, episode 54.
If you're prepared to take your mortgage business to the next level, there is only one place to go. I Love Mortgage Brokering with your host, Scott Peckford.
Hi, Broker Nation. I am thrilled to introduce our guest today, Ron Lefebvre. Ron is a mortgage broker with Invis Pure Mortgage. He's been a broker for 5 years, based out of Edmonton. He's one of the CMP Top 75. He won the CMP Best Newcomer Award, and he's got some pretty sweet branding online. I'm absolutely stoked for this interview today. Ron, are you ready to rock?
I'm ready to rock. You bet.
Awesome. So can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I've been with Invis for, like you say, the past 5 years. I started a little bit part-time in 2009, but quickly figured out that I had to do it full-time in 2010. And that was my first official full year as being a mortgage broker. And like you said, I was in 2012. I had won Best Newcomer Award at the CMPs and have just been progressively working on growing my business ever since.
That's awesome. And so how did you get into the mortgage business? Because my experience has been no one starts out as a little kid saying, hey, I want to be a mortgage broker when I grow up. So how did you get there?
Yeah, I got into the business. I had actually, prior to being a mortgage broker, I was in the trades. And before that, I had a business that I had started from scratch. And so I wasn't at all planning on becoming a mortgage broker. It almost happened by accident. I was actually planning on going back to university, getting my degree in accounting, and that was always my dream as a kid, was to actually get my accounting degree. But I had certain things that happened in my life that seemed to point me into this direction, and I had gave it a try, like I guess some people would do in 2010, and I haven't looked back. I love it, and I'm glad that I made the choice.
Yeah, that's awesome. It seems like people get into this business and either love it or hate it, and if you love it, it's a fantastic way to make a living and support your family, and so yeah, I'm hooked. So
yeah, absolutely.
But mind you, I host a podcast called I Love Mortgage Brokering, so it would be disingenuous if I'm like, I hate this business. So before we dive into your story, I'd like to ask about a success quote that's really impacted your life or business, because I love how quotes take an idea and distill it down into something that's portable and memorable. So can you share a quote that's really had an impact on you?
Yeah, I had a tough time with this, just because, those quotes seem to change. Whenever I see one, I'll usually write it down. And, the old adage, if you write something down, chances are it'll happen for you or it'll be a lot more likely it'll happen for you. But one that I really like is, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And that was by Winston Churchill. Another quote that I like is, most great people have attained their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure. And I can really relate to that one as well.
So I love the Winston Churchill quotes. And so can you give me an example of how you've applied one of those quotes recently in your day-to-day or your business?
Yeah, I've always focused on trying to live a balanced life between work and life. I think that it's important to do well in business, but I think that if the rest of your life, I always kind of look at 7 different categories of my life. And if I'm not succeeding in all the other categories, I don't think that your business can, sure, maybe your business can succeed, but I don't think that you're going to live a fulfilled life. But as far as, the success being not final and failure being not fatal, I had the business that I'd started when I was younger. I was about 21 years old, and I had sold the first home that I'd bought at that point to be able to take the money out and start my first business. I quickly realized that maybe I was a little bit too young at that time to be starting the business that I had started, but I still to this day don't really view it as a mistake that I'd made or as something that I regret. It's something that I learned and helped shape me to be who I am today, I guess.
So just out of curiosity, what type of business was it that you had?
It was actually a franchise of tanning salons. So I had opened up, it was pretty random.
That's why your pictures look so good online.
Right. But that was basically what it was. And so I had sold out the entire business by the time I was 23, I guess. It was about 2 years. That's when I got into the trades, because I realized I was just not at all ready to be taking on the commitment that was involved with making sure that other people can put food on the table and making sure that everybody else was collecting a paycheck, right?
What would you say is the biggest lesson? I know this is digressing, but mortgage brokers are entrepreneurs. What was the biggest lesson you had from this venture into the tanning business?
I guess the biggest lesson was just to get back up. I fell down, and I really felt like I just need to get back up and get back into business. I've always known that I was going to get back into business, but I think something that's important is to make sure that if you're going to do anything in business, you need to be really, really passionate about it. And that doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just I didn't just decide to become a mortgage broker because I was passionate about being a mortgage broker. I never knew if I was going to be passionate about it, but I knew when I became a mortgage broker, I needed to be passionate about what I was doing to be able to succeed. And the tanning business, I wasn't passionate about it. It was something that, again, it just kind of happened. And, I think that's something that I definitely learned from that experience is if you're not really, really passionate about something that you're going to do, whether business, life, doesn't matter. I just don't think that your chances of success are going to be all that great.
My brother and I, when we were I was in my early 20s, we started those vending machines that used to sit on countertops that you put money in when you go into businesses.
Yeah.
And so we thought, hey, this looks like a killer business. Like we get license to print money. So instead of buying the machines, we convinced the guy to sell us all the equipment to manufacture the machines. But we were living in Fort Nelson, so pretty much end of the earth, and it just turned into a giant catastrophe. And so, yeah, when you're talking about the tanning business, I don't know if your situation was like that, but mine was definitely, like, oh man, what was I thinking? But
yeah, big time. Yeah.
But as an entrepreneur, though,
not get it now.
yeah, exactly. You look back and kind of laugh, but I think sometimes you got to learn those lessons, and you're willing to take a risk, and that's what it is when you're an entrepreneur or mortgage broker. You got to be willing to just jump in and kind of see what happens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So I'm just going to now ask you about processes, because I find that successful mortgage brokers, and speaking with them, they have systems and processes. They don't just show up and hope for the best, and I'm sure that you've built them over the time that you've been a broker. So I want to ask first about a administrative or sort of a document type process that you have, maybe that wasn't working as well as you would like, and then a tweak you made, and then the outcome that you got once you've made that adjustment.
Yeah, I mean, this one's a tough question to answer as well. I mean, I'm always looking for ways to improve our admin processes, and it's an ongoing thing. I mean, best decision that I ever made was to hire an assistant who knows more about admin than I do. I've got the mentality, if I don't have the expertise in an area and I don't have the time to figure it out, then I'll just hire somebody who does have A, the time, and B, who's got the knowledge to be able to do it. I would say the processes that we used to do compared to the processes that we have now, I mean, we used to just kind of cater to, if we were collecting documents and a client said, I don't have this document for this reason, or I don't want to provide you this document for whatever reason, we've just become very stringent on not accepting no for an answer, that we need to get a complete document package up front to be able to properly advise our clients. And I mean, sometimes, some clients they do question, why is it that we're asking for so much more than maybe what their bank has asked for. And we've just gotten a lot better at explaining that for us to be able to do our jobs properly, we have to get everything up front. So that would probably be the biggest change that I've found. And I found that it's made a big difference with all of our lenders as well. It's made a big difference with our clients. We don't have any, very, very seldom that we get into situations where we need to extend conditions because somebody's waiting for documents or whatever the case might be. But probably the best thing that I ever did to be able to make things smoother and easier. I was looking at one point at, maybe hiring another person, but we always look at, before we're going to hire another person, we look at maybe we can be more efficient doing the things that we're doing. And that's something that both my assistant and I both strive to do, is just, if there's something that we can be doing better, let's do it better before we need to go and hire other people.
Right. Yeah, that's great advice. And so as an example, maybe if I said to you, if I'm a client and I'm talking to you and I'm like, hey, Ron, okay, I'm looking to get my mortgage and it sounds like your list is longer. What kind of thing would you say to me, just so that other people listening can kind of get an idea of the type of language or what you'd say? So what would you say to me when I'm saying to you, hey, why do I need all this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you the primary reason for us getting all of this paperwork is to make sure that we have all of our X's or our T's crossed and our I's dotted. I mean, I know that a lot of the banks aren't going to ask you for all that paperwork up front. They're going to ask it from you after your purchase offer has been accepted, right? And, I mean, you don't want to be, it's the time that you want to be dealing with things like home inspections, other things. You don't want to be chasing paperwork at that time. And especially in a marketplace like Edmonton, where you'll see homes that people go into multiple offers buying homes. And a lot of times you just don't have a lot of time, right? And so I'll explain to my clients that, if we get everything up front, chances of any surprises are next to none. And it gives us, at least if there's anything that I can catch that maybe gives us a better opportunity to get, different types of financing or whatever the case might be, I'd rather see it up front. So it is a little bit more paperwork, but at the end of the day, it's going to be well worth it for everybody involved, because you want to deal with the stressful stuff right now, not once you've already made an offer, because you're going to be already plenty stressed out enough when that time comes.
Right. And as we know, some things take longer to get than you expect because an employer is slow or your accountant doesn't have something. So it's better to get it in process now instead of when the people are stressing out and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to switch gears now and talk about sales and marketing, because obviously any mortgage broker who's successful understands there's sales and marketing involved and that they have a process to that as well. It's not just kind of random. And so can you share an example of maybe a sales or marketing process that you have in your business that was maybe not working as well as you would like, and then an adjustment you made and the outcome you got?
Yeah. I mean, on the sales side of things, when I first got into this industry, my focus was to, work with realtors and financial advisors in my sphere of influence. And you kind of slowly build your A clients and that sort of thing. But as time has gone by, I've got more and more clients now. So a lot of the repeat business I'm starting to see come up a lot more. And so that was something that, or especially over the last year, that we've really, really focused was, how do we work on our existing client base? How do we work on helping them? Because, I mean, it can be very expensive to be spending money on marketing and advertising to try to bring in new business. I mean, it could be acquisition costs that are quite high justify to be bringing in completely cold business, where something that we've done over the last year and a half, 2 years has been to start doing annual mortgage reviews where every single client on their mortgage anniversary date, we're spending 20 minutes to do a full-on review for them, make sure they're in the right mortgage product. We're providing them with valuable information. We're not just sending them the typical Happy Thanksgiving and Happy Canada Day and Merry Christmas emails and that. So we're really trying to provide more value to our clients after the deal is closed and have those touches be a little bit more important. And I've found that's something that my repeat business over that time in the last year and a half has more than doubled. So, some of that has to do with the fact that I have more clients now, but I'd like to think that a lot of it, whenever I do send that email and I do make that contact with my clients, they're pretty ecstatic to see that I still care as much now as I did when I helped them 2 years ago and 3 years ago, not just 5 years ago now that their mortgage renewal is coming up, right?
Yeah, no, I think annual reviews are something that everybody hears about. It's kind of like when you first become a broker, everybody says, get a CRM, and most people take 2 or 3 years to get their act together. And then once you start getting established, you should be doing annual reviews. And I'm going to make a confession. I've only just started doing them and the response has been fantastic. But so tell me about your annual review process. So do you send an email and then set up a phone call, or like who's doing the call and who's doing the email, just so I can have a picture in my mind of what you guys are doing?
Yeah. So basically what we do is, because we collect a broker consent form on every single deal from every single client, we're able to communicate with our lenders, right? So the very first thing that we do on the anniversary date, I get reminders through my CRM system saying this person's mortgage anniversary is up. So my assistant Claudia will send in a request to our lender to get that mortgage information statement sent to us. And once I get that information statement, she just flags me to let me know that it's come in. At that point, I'll review the original deal that we did with the client. I'll review their current mortgage statement to look at where they're at now, look at the notes that we had made when we first got their mortgage receipt. Was it a client that had planned on wanting to increase their payments every year? Like some clients will tell me when we first sign them up, I want to increase my payments by 10% each year. And so that's a good opportunity for me to say, hey, you had mentioned this a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and this is something you want to consider. If it is, should we maybe set up an appointment for you to come in and sit down with us, or do you want to just go ahead and bump your payments up? Or maybe times are tough and you need to drop your payments down a little bit, or there's all sorts of different reasons. But we have an email template that I work with. I mean, obviously I have to change all the numbers in that template, but a lot of the facts that we're bringing up, we're just kind of showing them, here's where your mortgage rate was at when we first got your mortgage. Here's where mortgage rates currently are at. Here's some options if you needed to get out of this mortgage now for whatever reason, if you needed to refinance to pay off debt or to do renovations or whatever the reasons are. So we're always kind of giving them reasons. We're telling them when they should be contacting us, I guess, is what we're doing in the email. If there's certain things that are going on in your life, if you think you're going to be buying in a year's time, let us know so that we can kind of get the ball started and at least come up with a game plan for you now, right?
And so the email goes out, and then obviously so the process is you get the balance on their mortgage from the lender, send her an email with some numbers and some customized dialogue. And then how many of them would you actually get on the phone with, do you think, from that process?
Phone calls, if I had to throw a number, I would say probably 10 to 15% of people I'd get on the phone. I mean, a lot of people will just send me an email back saying, hey, Ron, I just want to increase my payments, or I just want to do this. Or, I mean, the communication nowadays, a lot of people just want to communicate by email. But so I would say 10 to 15% of people will actually give me a call or say, hey, can we set up an appointment to have a quick phone chat to discuss what our current situation looks like, and here's what we're thinking of doing. Can is there anything that we can be doing to make our financial picture a little bit better, right?
No, that's awesome. And then when did you start this, like, in earnest?
Really, I mean, I started it 3 years ago, but I wasn't religious on doing it with every single client. It kind of happened whenever I'd get a little bit slower with work, and then all of a sudden I do a bunch of mortgage reviews. But it was obviously a lot tougher in the beginning because I didn't have broker consent forms for all of my clients, and now it becomes a lot easier because we have that broker consent form signed right with the mortgage commitment, and that it at least allows us to communicate with the lender direct. And it's also good even come renewal time, right? Because I mean, at that point we can also contact the lender for the client, say, hey, what's the client's renewal options? We want to maybe discuss, maybe it's early renewing. And I've never been one to do the switching clients on maturity just for the sake of switching them. I mean, a lot of times I'll try to renew my clients with the existing lender, even if I don't get paid on it, because at the end of the day, why would I get somebody to put in all this time and work to move lenders to save themselves maybe 0.05% on their mortgage rate, and there's no other reason than that. If that comes down to it, I'll tell the client they do have that option, but I'll also explain to them that if we renew with our existing lender, if we're getting just as good of a mortgage rate and just as good of a mortgage product with our existing lender, then it makes more sense to just stick it out with them, right?
No, that's awesome. That's great. And have you seen any uptick in the number of like client referrals, or like since you started doing this more?
Oh, massive. I mean, the first year, all of my business had to be new business, right? So my very first year in business, I'd funded just over $20 million, and that was never had a single repeat customer. I had clearly I was brand new to the industry, and that was a tough year because, I mean, I had really needed to prove myself to friends and family and anybody that knew me that I knew what I was talking about. So after that first year, then, you started seeing a little bit of it. And my business planning right from day one has I've always known that by that fourth and fifth year that the repeat business and the past client referrals were really going to pick up. And I've spoken to other highly successful mortgage brokers who have been in the industry for much longer than I have that have said, once you're established and you've got a good database, you're going to be able to really just spend a lot of your time working with your existing clients, and the repeat referral business will start to flow. And I've noticed that especially over the last year, especially the year before that was quite a bit as well. I mean, my business the first couple of years was 50% realtor referred, and the other 50% was kind of split up between friends and family and financial planners and a couple of other sources. But now I'm finding that my repeat and past client referral business is upwards of about 70% of my total book that's coming in here, especially this last year was 70%. So I mean, it's definitely, I guess, a lot easier to be having that repeat referral business when you have more clients, I guess.
And so I got to ask, though, $20 million in your first year from that's pretty impressive. So what did you, how did you do that? Give me one or two things that you would attribute to, because that's not a normal volume for somebody in their first year. No offense.
I don't know. I mean, I like to think that I really just busted my ass off just getting out there and doing whatever it took to be able to earn people's trust, right? I mean, that first year, one of the things that you always hear coming into this industry is, you're working with realtors is a great source of business. And I thought to myself, how can I attract more realtors? And so what I ended up doing, 3 months into to doing this full time was I went and hired a business coach who specialized in coaching real estate agents. And I thought, realtors go out and they don't have 2 or 3 sources of business. They got to go out and get business cold the way that a lot of other salespeople do. So I thought, why not hire a coach and hire a coach who specializes in working with real estate agents and kind of take some training that they would take and help me understand a little bit better how a realtor would think. And so that first year I had started kind of not really cold calling realtors. I mean, I would start working with realtors who we had mutual clients to just ask, if you don't have a mortgage broker, or maybe you do and you want to have another one in your back pocket, I might be a person to sit down with and might be able to help each other out. But a lot of it was just really trying to impress a lot of, everybody that my clients, the realtors, the financial planners, really just try to impress them. And one of the things that I spent a lot of the time focusing on was just having the turnaround time being quick, right? So I started working with lenders that had better efficiencies and lenders that were quicker. I mean, I remember, those days are kind of a little bit gone now to see the days of half-hour approvals. But I mean, we can still, if we're working with the right lenders and that, we can still see approval times of being 3 and 4 hours. And so, that was, I don't know that there was any real magic surprise. I busted my ass to try to bring in new business, and that was really about it.
That's good. Actually, now I have to have an explicit rating on my podcast. I'm just kidding. I don't. But that's a great, and so, yeah, I'm not going to continue on that, but that's a very interesting idea to get coaching from a real estate coach so that you can then go and add value to those real estate relationships, which is a different way to solve the problems. The last question on this, how important do you think the coach was in that first years of success?
Oh, it was massive. I had that first coach for almost 2 years. And like I said from the beginning, if I have a weakness in my business, I'll hire it out. And so coaching has been important for the growth of my business. I've always had a coach of some sort. It's not, I had the real estate coach for a little while, and then I had, an actual mortgage coach for a little while, and then I had a marketing coach for a little while. And right now I'm starting to look for, an all-around business coach, so I just find that having that coach definitely, it opened my eyes to just the simple things. Just, what should I be doing with my day? How do I schedule my day? Who should I be making phone calls to? And you start getting into the simple things like how many touches do I need to make before I have a lead, and how many leads do I need to have before I have a live deal? Right? And that specific coach spent a lot of time on just tracking your past results to be able to know where your future's headed, right?
No, that's good. And you know what? It takes humility to hire a coach, because it says that, hey, I don't know it all, and I don't know the best way to do everything. And then you need to be able to listen to someone else's input, right? So good on you, man, for being willing to do it and obviously listen, because lots of times I've taken coaching, but I don't know if I'm always the best coached person, because I'm like, I know you're saying do it this way, but I want to do it my way. And
yeah, right.
I should just listen, right? That's what I'm learning from you. I need to listen better to people who are coaching me. Okay.
Yeah, big time.
I'm just going to move to the rapid fire questions. So these you can answer with shorter answers if you like. So what is the number one thing holding back most mortgage brokers from being successful?
The obvious answer, I think, is themselves. I would say definitely themselves.
Right. What one thing or habit?
Fear of failure. I guess another one, fear of failure. A lot of people are scared to fail, and so they just end up not doing anything at all.
One thing you think one thing or habit has made you successful?
Oh, one thing or habit that's made me successful, work ethic, and knowing what I'm not good at.
And do you have an internet resource or software program you use to make your business more successful?
I have a couple, but I have, my website's obviously a resource that I use to work with, but software program, a lot of it is really just Outlook and proper CRM program.
What do you use for CRM?
I'm right in the middle of actually changing, so I won't comment on what I'm currently using.
Okay, that's fair. I'll message you sometime in a month or so and see what's up. So
sure, sounds.
If you could recommend a book for our listeners, what would it be?
7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey.
That's a good one. And where do you think the industry's headed? Where's the opportunity?
I think we're headed into a direction where there's going to be more collaboration between brokers, lenders, or more unity, I guess, between brokers and like. I just find that over the last several years, there's been kind of this struggle on who owns the client, and so I think that we're headed more in a direction where the lenders and brokers are going to be working together. And I think that the opportunity will be all of a sudden with your mortgage renewal business. I mean, you're going to be able to get paid when you start seeing a lot more of these lenders that are coming out now with trailer models and different things like that. So that's where I think it's headed.
That's good. So it's the last question, one of my favorites. Remember it's a DeLorean question. Remember the movie Back to the Future?
Yeah.
And so the DeLorean's that car, you can travel in time. So if I could put you in the DeLorean and fire you back to 5 years ago when you started as a broker, and you could sit down with yourself and say, Ron, here, do these 3 things so that your business is even bigger than it is today. So what 3 things would you tell yourself?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I would say do a lot of things that, I do a lot of things that I've been doing, really. I mean, hire out the things that you're no good at, and the thing, like, just acknowledge what it is that you're not good at. And part of that is the coaching side of it. I think for a lot of people, just hire somebody that can hold you accountable. If you can't hold yourself accountable, I know that I'm not great at holding myself accountable, so I get people to do it for me. But really, that would be about it.
Okay, so cool, man. Well, I really appreciate your time. So where can people find you online?
They could find me on my website, puremortgage.ca, or that's the best way to find me on my website, puremortgage.ca.
And are you guys hiring at all?
Am I what? Sorry?
Are you hiring?
Am I hiring? I will be probably in the next 6 months.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And so, Ron, I really appreciate your time and for your input on this today. I hope you absolutely rock the rest of your year. And thanks, man, so much.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
If you are prepared to take your mortgage business to the next level, there is only one place to go. I Love Mortgage Brokering with your host, Scott Peckford.
Hey, Broker Nation, Scott Peckford here. Have you joined our VIP club for mortgage brokers yet? If not, you're missing out. We share exclusive content not available on the web or the show. We share scripts, step-by-step guides, and other insider tips to help you save time and make you more money. I can't tell you how many times after I turn off the recorder, a guest starts sharing some awesome advice or a script or a tip, and I take the best of this and share it with my VIPs. If you want to get on the list, visit ilovemortgagebrokering.com/VIP. That's ilovemortgagebrokering.com/VIP. Oh, and one other thing. Since this is exclusively for mortgage brokers, there is a skill testing question. Good luck, and I hope you continue to rock your mortgage biz.